Belgium to find these suspects, and they made several arrests, 2 charged, but they made 7 originally. What led them there, and why is it such a hotbed for recruitment?
Well, Belgium, falls into this pattern, if you will. It's a town. They have a town, Molenbeek, that in Brussels has a large Muslim population that has been a source of radicals that attacked the Jewish museum there, that were sources for the bombers in 2004 in the Madrid bombing. The cell that was broken up after the Charlie Hebdo bombing came from there. So on and on. And if you look at radicals, Brussels and Belgium have the highest proportion of Muslims going to Syria. Out of the 600,000 Muslims in Belgium, over 500 have gone to Syria, 190 have returned, and many of them, as you can see with this cell, returned to use Belgium as a platform from which to launch attacks, as they did, it appears, with this attack in Paris.
And Molenbeek specifically, 80% Muslim, that town alone. And you mentioned some of the other incidents that have been tied to it. More recently, the train that was coming from Belgium to Paris, investigators believe that the weapons involved in that Americans were able to foil came from Molenbeek as well. Why is it so easy to get weapons there?
Well, it seems that the Belgians have a much freer flow of individuals. This mastermind, Al Abaoud, talked in Dabik magazine, the magazine for ISIS, the most militant magazine, in which he bragged about being approached by officers in Belgium, and then they looked at a picture, they thought he looked like the man they were looking for, and then he was let go and said, boy, by the grace of Allah, I was let go. Listen, this isn't about saying, well, any Muslim could be a problem. The issue, though, is that when you have these incubators, these large neighborhoods in which networks, not only social media networks, but gang-type networks develop, and we're not having law enforcement profile and begin to look at the ideas and just wait for violent extremism instead of looking at the Islamism brewed in these neighborhoods, like in Molenbeek and Belgium. We're going to continue to see them used as a platform for launching attacks, even outside their countries, like we saw in France.
And it really is amazing. We have a map that you can look here, what you were describing previously. Belgium has more fighters in Syria and Iraq per capita than France, the Netherlands, the UK, and Germany. And it really is amazing when you see it laid out there. But not so amazing, you say.
Oh, and the Interior Minister in Belgium just recently said a few days ago, this is out of control. We must begin repression. Well, if you follow the lead in the UK, for example, Prime Minister Cameron talked about addressing the ideology. These individuals want to die for the Islamic State or any Islamic State, Islamo-patriotism. Until they begin to engage Muslim communities in assimilation with Belgian patriotism, French patriotism, British patriotism, they're going to continue to see them gravitate towards jihad and then enact acts of violence and treason against their own country.
And we really need to be paying attention to this, because there are communities here in America, one that's just outside of Minneapolis. 20 young men have headed to Syria. They're now reported missing to train with Syria. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Dr. Zudi Jasser, thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Heather.
Calls for stronger gun laws coming from city leaders in response to the Paris terror attacks. Philadelphia